Ever noticed the moment when your soul stops chasing what no longer belongs to it? There's a silence, a sacred, golden silence that falls not just over your life but echoes into the heavens. And in that moment, heaven laughed. Enjoy. Not because you became someone new, but because you finally returned to who you truly are. This is the moment the universe waited for, and chosen ones, I tell you, when this moment arrives, you do not hear it in the noise. You hear it in the stillness. You feel it when the crowd disappears, and the only voice left is your own. I have walked through countless paths, through cities loud with ambition, and forests humming with prayers, but the most sacred wisdom I've ever found was in the day I stopped running. We run, don't we? We chase recognition. We chase approval. We chase what others say is success. And all along, the soul, quiet and patient, sits by the river of time, waiting for us to sit beside it again. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man who came to me, eyes filled with pain. He had everything, a thriving business, admiration, luxury, but his soul starving. He asked me, "Why do I feel so empty?" I gave him no advice. I gave him a bowl of water and said, "Stir it." He did. I asked, "Can you see your reflection?" "No." He said. I told him, "Now let it be still." Moments passed, and the water cleared. Now I whispered, "What do you see?" "Myself," he replied, and I said, "This is why you feel empty. Because your mind has been stirred by the world, but your soul craves stillness." Chosen ones, some of you are just now putting down the spoon. You're finally letting the water be still. And in that stillness, your reflection, your true self begins to emerge. And heaven smiles, because that's the first step to awakening. Not dramatic, not loud, but real, deep, irrevocable. You see, the greatest breakthroughs are silent. The loudest rebirths are inward. And the most divine changes happen when nobody else is watching. We live in a world that celebrates the noise. But what if I told you that your power lies in the quiet choices you make? When no one's applauding, the moment you forgive someone who never apologized, the night you meditate instead of scrolling endlessly, the decision to walk away, not in anger but in peace. These are the moments heaven laughs in joy. Not because you won, but because you woke up. Pause. You finally chose peace over proving, truth over ego, love over fear. This is not the end, this is your beginning. You are not who you were a year ago. You are not your past mistakes. You are not what they said you were. You are what you're becoming right now. And the journey ahead, it is not straight, it is not paved, but it is sacred, and every step will be worth it. Pause. Soft bell sound before we continue. I ask you, what are you still holding that no longer fits the soul you are becoming? Because what you release makes space for what is ready to enter. Deep breath in and out. The universe does not delay the blessings meant for you. It waits patiently until you're ready to receive them. And my dear one, if you are watching this, if these words are entering your spirit like warm light through a temple window, then know this. You are ready. The monk in me sees the monk in you. Halsey. And now we continue into the deeper waters where we speak of courage, surrender, and the quiet power of trust. Where we speak of courage, surrender, and the quiet power of trust, we must begin with a truth most people avoid. That real courage often looks like letting go, not holding on. You see, the world teaches us to grip tightly, hold on to our jobs, our identities, our relationships, even when they no longer bring peace, even when they weigh down the spirit. But chosen ones, you have reached a sacred point in your journey. The moment where the soul whispers, you no longer need to carry what was only meant to teach. That is courage, not the kind that roars in battle, but the kind that bows in surrender. I once met an elderly woman, her face weathered by time, her spirit radiant. She told me, "I spent 40 years climbing the ladder of life, only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall." She laughed, not out of regret, but realization, and then she said, "Peace is not in reaching the top, peace is in knowing when to climb down." Pause. We all have walls we've been climbing, some built by others, some built by our past selves. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is to climb down. To choose a different path. Chosen ones, surrender is not defeat, it's wisdom in motion. It's the soul saying, "I trust what's coming more than I fear what's leaving." Gentle wind chimes sound in background. This is the trust I speak of, a trust that doesn't always make sense to the mind, but speaks directly to the spirit. Trust is sitting by the river when there's no boat in sight, because you know it will come. Trust is planting a seed in silence, knowing that bloom takes time. And trust is loving yourself through your own becoming. So many people are afraid to change, but change, my dear one, is the evidence of life. Even the trees surrender their leaves, even the moon disappears for nights at a time. Even the ocean must retreat before it can rise again. So why do you fear the ebb in your life? Why do you resist the sacred pause? You are not lost, you are becoming. And what you're becoming is beautiful beyond imagination. Pause. Let me offer you this, there's a story in my lineage of a monk who lived in silence for 12 years. People traveled across great distances just to sit near him. Not because he spoke, but because his presence was truth. One day, a seeker finally asked, "Master, why do you not speak?" The monk smiled and replied, "I only speak when my words are more valuable than my silence." Now reflect on this with me. What if, today, you honored your own silence? What if you created space not to fill, but to feel what your soul has been trying to say, beneath all the noise, the scrolling, the striving? Because chosen ones, the truth is, you already know, you've always known. Every time you felt a strange peace in walking away from what others chased, every time you heard a quiet yes in your heart when the world screamed no, every time you didn't understand why, but you knew something deeper was calling. That is the voice of the sacred, that is the voice heaven celebrates. Pause, let me say this clearly, the moment you decided to stop betraying your spirit just to belong, heaven laughed in joy because you finally understood belonging isn't out there. It's in here, in the alignment between your soul and your choices, and when that alignment is found, there is no force on earth or in the stars that can stop your becoming. So breathe with me now, inhale, exhale, you are safe, you are not late, you are exactly where you are meant to be, not to chase, not to force, but to align, to listen, to surrender, and to rise like the sun without effort, yet full of light. Soft bell rings. In the next part of our journey, we will walk deeper into the realm of divine timing, where you will understand why certain things didn't work out, and why the detours were never delays, but directions. You'll see how the universe rearranged itself not to punish you, but to protect you. You'll begin to forgive your past, not as a favor to it, but as freedom for yourself. Let's walk together into the next page. In the next part of our journey, we walk deeper into the realm of divine timing, that mysterious force which seems to delay what we desire, only to deliver what we need when our soul is ready. Divine timing is not always kind to the impatient mind, but it is always perfect for the soul. Many times in my early path, I prayed for doors to open, doors to places I thought I belonged, to people I thought I needed, to outcomes I thought would bring me peace. But the door remained closed. I knocked, I wept, I waited, and nothing. Only later did I understand. Rejection was redirection, and silence was sacred preparation. You see, the universe does not say no to punish you, it says not yet to prepare you. It says wait, because the version of you who will receive the blessing is not the version still chasing it. Pause. A young student once asked me, "Master, how do I know if I'm being delayed or denied?" I smiled and replied, "When the fruit is not ripe, the tree does not curse it, it simply waits." So too must we learn to wait, not with bitterness, but with awareness. Because while you're waiting, you're being shaped. Every moment of stillness, every unanswered prayer, every unexpected ending was a brush stroke on the masterpiece of who you are becoming. Soft breeze sound. Let me tell you another story. There was a time I deeply longed to be accepted into a monastery I had admired for years. It was known for its ancient teachings, deep silence, and enlightened masters. I applied. I prepared. I gave everything I had. They rejected me. I was devastated. I felt unworthy, invisible, forgotten. But that very night, as I walked through the forest to find peace, I stumbled upon an old hermit, a monk who lived alone, away from all temples. He took one look at me and said, "You were not sent here for tradition. You were sent here for transformation." He taught me what no monastery ever could. Not from scriptures, but from watching the stars, listening to the rain, and being present with the breath. And years later, I realized the universe did not delay my path, it refined it. It taught me to trust not in appearances, but in alignment. Chosen ones, you may feel right now like you are being delayed, like life is passing you by. But hear me when I say this, nothing truly meant for you will ever miss you. And what misses you was never meant for your spirit's rise. Pause. So how do you walk with divine timing? You release the need to control. You replace worry with wonder. You begin to ask not why is this happening to me, but what is this preparing me for? And in doing so, you begin to walk with life, not against it. You begin to see the patterns, the protection, the perfection, not in a life without pain, but in a life full of purpose. Because chosen ones, your path is not random, it is written in light, and every delay has been a detour to guide you back to your true alignment. Do not rush it. Do not resent the waiting. Instead, meet the moment. This moment, because in this very moment, you're being shaped into someone you yourself prayed to become long ago. Trust this timing. Trust your unfolding. And trust that even in the silence, you are not forgotten, you are being guided. Soft chime sound note. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how forgiveness, not for others, but for ourselves, unlocks the next level of peace, power, and presence. Because before the universe pours blessings into your life, it first clears the vessel. And often, that clearing comes through deep, inward forgiveness. We'll explore how guilt binds, how self-blame traps, and how releasing yourself from the past is the most divine act of all. Let us walk forward into that sacred clearing together. Forgiveness. We often think of it as something we give to others, as something noble we offer to those who have wronged us. But the deeper truth is this: the most important forgiveness you'll ever give is to yourself. Not because you failed, not because you were weak, but because you've carried pain longer than your soul was meant to hold it. So many of us walk through life like temples full of broken echoes, haunted by old mistakes, shadows of should've and what-ifs. We smile on the outside, but inside, we wear invisible chains, chains of regret, chains of guilt, chains of shame. But chosen one, let me tell you something sacred: you do not need to carry the weight of a person you no longer are. There was a time in my journey when I, too, was trapped. Not by bars, not by borders, but by my own mind. I replayed my missteps again and again. Moments where I said the wrong thing, moments I let pride speak instead of love, moments I ignored the whisper of my own soul, and I asked myself, how can I ever move forward knowing what I've done? It was during a long winter of silence in the mountains that a realization arrived. One morning, I watched as snow fell gently on the earth, covering the land in pure, white stillness. The trees didn't resist, the rocks didn't hold on to last season. Everything simply received what the present moment gave, and that's when I heard it, not in words, but in feeling. Even the earth is allowed to be made new. So why not you? Forgiveness is not pretending it didn't happen. It's honoring that it did and choosing not to stay there. It's looking at your former self and saying, I understand. You did what you could with what you knew, and now I release you. You don't need to justify your past. You only need to let it teach you, then let it go. That is where your power returns. Because guilt keeps you frozen in yesterday, but grace moves you forward into who you were born to become. Soft chime sound, chosen ones. Let me offer this gentle reminder: your worth is not tied to perfection. The sun does not stop shining because of yesterday's clouds. The river does not cease flowing because of the rocks in its path. And your spirit does not stop being sacred because you've made mistakes. You are evolving. You are remembering. You are real. And that realness is what makes you divine. Let us now take a moment to breathe together. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Now place your hand over your heart. Whisper to yourself, I forgive you, I release you, I am ready to rise. And if tears fall, let them. They are not weakness, they are rain for the garden of your soul. Now that we've made space, now that we've cleared the clutter of old guilt, you may begin to feel something stirring within, a quiet strength, a deeper clarity, a voice saying, I am ready for what's next. Because what's coming requires a new version of you. A version that is no longer chained to the past, but anchored in truth. And in the next part of our journey, we'll explore what it means to truly live in alignment with your soul's path, where every decision you make becomes a prayer, every step becomes a sacred offering, and every breath becomes a celebration of the present. We'll discuss how to listen not with ears, but with intuition, how to choose not from fear, but from inner knowing, and how to build a life that whispers, this is who I really am. Together, we'll walk into that sacred alignment. To live in alignment with your soul's path is to live as though every moment is sacred, because it is. It's not about perfection, or having all the answers, or walking without fear. It's about walking in truth. Even when the ground is uncertain beneath your feet. Chosen ones, alignment isn't something you achieve once and forever, it's something you return to. Again and again, like a monk returning to his breath during meditation. The world will pull you. It will tempt you. It will distract you with voices that say, go faster, earn more, be someone. But your soul, it only asks one thing: be still, be real, be here. Soft wind sound. Let me tell you of a man I once met in the marketplace. He wore fine clothes, spoke many languages, and was praised by all. But when he came to me in the quiet of evening, his voice trembled. He said, I have built a life that looks successful, but I no longer recognize myself in it. I asked him one simple question: what parts of you did you trade away to build it? Tears welled in his eyes. He whispered, my joy, my time, my truth. And I told him gently, then it is not your life you've built, it is a prison made of gold. That night, he walked with me barefoot under the stars. No noise, no accolades, just silence and breath. And for the first time in many years, he smiled, not for the world, but from within. He had remembered something we all forget: alignment begins where pretending ends. So I ask you now, where in your life are you still pretending? Pretending to be okay when you're not, pretending to care when your heart has grown silent, pretending to fit into a life your soul has already outgrown. Let go, dear one. There is no shame in shifting, there is only wisdom in returning to your essence. When you live in alignment, decisions become lighter. Not always easier, but lighter. You begin to sense what feels expansive and what feels heavy, You begin to trust your intuition, that soft voice you once dismissed but now realize was your soul's compass all along. Pause, soft bell tone. Living in alignment means asking, does this nourish me? Or does this drain me? And choosing accordingly. It means saying yes to things that set your spirit on fire, not just your ego. It means walking away from opportunities that pay well but cost you your peace. It means honoring your inner rhythms, your need for rest, reflection, renewal, because your soul is not a machine. It is a garden. And gardens do not bloom from pressure but from care. Let us not wait until burnout becomes our teacher. Let us become still enough to hear our truth before it screams. Pause. You are not here to be a copy of the world's expectations. You are here to be a mirror of the divine, a reflection of grace, of presence, of simplicity. So live in a way that brings you back to yourself. Choose people who see your truth, pursue paths that expand your breath, not shrink it, and create a life so aligned, so honest, that your soul sighs in relief every morning you rise. That is alignment, and in the next part of our journey, we'll dive into something equally sacred, the power of presence. We'll explore how the most important moment of your life is not in the future, not in the memories of the past, but right here, in the breath you're taking now. Together, we will learn how presence brings clarity, how it heals what thinking cannot, and how it reconnects us to the magic of simply being. Let us walk mindfully into that sacred now. Presence is not a skill to master. It is the most natural state you've simply forgotten. Presence is your original home, before the world taught you to worry about tomorrow or regret yesterday. When you were a child, every flower was a wonder, every sound was a discovery. Time wasn't measured, it was felt. But as we grew, we were taught to chase moments, not live them. We became collectors of plans, not participants in life. And now, many live like ghosts in their own story, always somewhere else, in a thought, a future, a fear. But chosen one, your power does not exist in the past. It does not live in the future. It breathes only here. Right now, this breath, this heartbeat, this pause between words. Gentle pause, soft flute begins in the background. Remember once walking in a garden after a long retreat. The world felt louder than I remembered, more rushed. People were walking fast, eyes down, scrolling, rushing, disconnected from the ground beneath their feet. But in the corner of the garden sat a child. He was holding a fallen leaf in his hand, examining it like it was the most precious thing on earth. I knelt beside him and asked, "What do you see?" He looked up and said, "Everything." And in that moment, I remembered what presence is. It is not complicated. It is not hidden. It is only buried beneath distraction. Pause presence is when you drink your tea and actually taste it. When you look at someone and truly see them. When you hear the wind and realize it's always been speaking. Presence is where healing happens. Not because pain disappears, but because suffering only exists in resistance. When we are present with what is, without judgment, without grasping, we stop fighting life, we begin to flow with it. The breath becomes deeper, the heart becomes softer, the mind becomes quieter. And in that stillness, the soul speaks again. Soft chime sound. So I invite you right now to do something radical in a world that never stops. Just be here. Don't fix, don't plan, don't scroll, just be. Close your eyes. If you'd like, place your awareness on your breath, the gentle in and out. Notice how life is not something you need to chase. It's already happening right now. And in this moment, you are not your name, you are not your age, you are not your past. You are awareness itself, watching, feeling, sensing. This is presence. Pause from this space. Your decisions change, your reactions soften, your words slow down and carry weight. You begin to respond to life with clarity rather than with habit. Presence makes you a mirror. A sacred mirror in which others remember their own light. This is why being fully present is the greatest gift you can ever offer. To yourself, to others, to the divine. And as we prepare to close this part of our journey, remember this: no matter where life takes you, return to this breath. When you are overwhelmed, return to this breath. When you are lost, return to this breath. When you are at peace, return to this breath. Because the breath will always bring you back home. Pause. Soft wind fades gently. As we step into our final chapter together, we will speak of completion. How to walk forward with wisdom, how to bless the journey behind you, and how to embody the monk within you in your daily life. The final page is a homecoming, a sacred reminder that the peace you seek was never far, because it was always you. Let us walk together into the closing message with a spirit of deep reverence and readiness. Completion, it is not an ending. It is a sacred return, a coming home to the self that's always been beneath the layers of striving, seeking, and forgetting. Completion is not about reaching the mountaintop, but learning to sit peacefully at its base, knowing the view was never the point. Presence was. Chosen one, you've walked with me through silence and surrender, through forgiveness and alignment, into the breath of presence itself. Now, We stand at the sacred threshold, where wisdom must leave the page and enter your life, because true learning is not what we understand. It is what we embody. Soft pause. When gently stirring to embody the monk within you is to carry the temple wherever you go. Not as a building, but as a way of being. You walk slower not because you're behind, but because you're no longer in a race. You speak softer not because you're timid, but because your words now carry intention. You no longer try to convince others. You simply become a living example. Pause. To embody this path is to make tea with reverence, to speak with compassion, to forgive before it's requested, to leave behind the noise again and again until stillness becomes your second nature. Remember, this peace is not a place you visit. Peace is who you are when you no longer resist the truth of this moment. And as you rise from this teaching, life will ask you, as it asked me, can you remember your soul in the middle of traffic? Can you breathe like the monk when others have forgotten how? Can you respond with presence when the world tries to provoke your pain? These are your real altars. The kitchen, the workplace, the conversation you don't want to have, the quiet mornings, the sacred now. Do not wait for the monastery. Become one. Let your breath be the incense. Let your choices be the chant. Let your life be the prayer. Soft chime sound. When I first began walking this path, I thought the goal was to escape the world, but now I know the path is to bring light into it. To be in the world, but not of its confusion, to walk through chaos and still carry calm, to be the eye in the storm, the space between the noise, the presence that helps others remember their own. You are not here by accident. Your awakening is not random. This message reached you because you are ready to release what no longer serves, ready to become who you are always meant to be, ready to live not just another life but a sacred one. And remember, you may forget the words I've spoken, but if you carry even one moment of stillness from this journey, then the seed has already been planted. Water it daily. With silence, with breath, with truth. You are no longer seeking the path, you are the path. Pause. And now, dear one, we will walk into the final message, not as teacher and student, not as speaker and listener, but as souls meeting in truth. In this final page, we will seal all that has been shared with one quiet truth and one final invitation from the divine. And now we have arrived not at the end, but at the sacred silence that follows. Understanding this journey we've walked together through courage, surrender, forgiveness, presence, and alignment was never about adding more to your life. It was about removing everything that was never truly yours. Pause. So here, in this final moment, I offer you not a lesson, but a remembrance. You are always enough. Before the striving, before the proving, before the pretending, you were already the divine wrapped in breath and skin. And the soul's only task in this lifetime is not to become someone new, but to return to that which you already are. Soft breeze flows under gentle temple chime. This is the quiet truth. Everything you've ever looked for was always inside you. Peace, clarity, wholeness. It was never lost. It was simply waiting beneath the noise, beneath the fear, beneath the false stories. And now, you've touched it. Even if only for a breath, you've remembered who you are, and heaven smiled, because when one soul awakens, it sends ripples through the entire field of existence. You may never know how many hearts your presence will touch, how many lives will shift because you chose to become still. That is the sacred legacy of awakening. It is not loud, it is not famous, but it is eternal. Pause. So, dear one, walk forward with gentle courage. You don't need to know every step ahead, you only need to keep listening to that quiet voice within. And when the world gets loud again, when fear knocks, when doubt rises, when shadows try to return, breathe. Return to the stillness we shared. Place your hand on your heart and remind yourself, I am here. I am whole. I am enough. This is your vow now, not to me, but to yourself. Deep pause. Before we part, I offer you one final invitation, not from a monk, but from the universe itself. Live your life as a blessing. Let your presence be medicine. Let your silence be strength. Let your days become prayers and your relationships become altars of love. And when you no longer chase the light outside you, you will realize it was always shining from within. You are not walking alone. You never have been. And now, you are awake. Soft bell rings one last time, lingering into quiet stillness. Closing words from the monk. Thank you for walking this sacred path with me today. If this journey touched your spirit in any way, honor it by sharing it with another soul who may be seeking light. Subscribe to Soulful Wisdom for more reflections. Type in the comments, I remember who I am. Let's meet there, heart to heart, soul to soul. Until we meet again, be still, be kind, and be true. Namaste.